Can you hear me? Okay, it looks like my mic is working. Yeah, so I had to come on with all the excitement of what just happened with the election hearing that was held yesterday. If you don't know, yesterday an election hearing was held by Arizona's state legislature, and the hearing was explosive. It was extremely explosive, and if the media at this point doesn't report on this new information that was provided by the witnesses that came forth, two of them having extensive data analytical skills, then the media is no longer necessary. And what's going to happen is we'll continue to see independent media like Right Wing and NTD and others grow. People like Tim Pool, Dr. Turley, and others. You know, all of us, Black conservative, out in Mexico. You have Oscar El Blue. Um, so many more conservative voices that are out there, and they'll continue to grow, and people will continue to seek these channels out wherever they are, because people at this point just want the facts. Okay, so as I watched, I was baffled at the amount of testimony, at the professionalism of all of the witnesses, even the women who were nervous. They were extremely professional, and they were able to each break down their experiences. Now, one that really disturbed me the most was there was one witness, and she testified that as a poll watcher, she observed, you know, people making mistakes and scribbling things and just doing things that they shouldn't have been doing with the ballots. And when she tried to help, you know, to help the poll worker, she was told by the supervisor of the site that she is not allowed to even speak to a poll worker. So the supervisor told her, if there's any problem, you come to me. With any complaints, you come straight to me. So she explained the complaints to the supervisor, and the supervisor just brushed it off. You know, there were mistakes being made with signatures. The signatures that they were trying to verify, she said, looked like scribble scrabble, you know, like a child first starting to learn or whatever, as people were just rushing, just scribbling in things. Okay, we can assume that. And they wouldn't do anything to correct it. She tried to get in contact with someone else as well, I believe she said during her testimony, but it was just like a big brush off. But for me, the popular part for me was the technical analytical observations, right? And so I'm gonna share my screen with you, and I'm gonna share a clip, one clip where the colonel is testifying, and he is speaking on an email. So we're gonna go over the email because that's very important as to how they did it. And you listen very closely, you will see how they did it. They say how they did it in this email. Now, the person who sent in the email, we don't know who that person is. They have yet to really come forward. But I'm quite sure the reason they haven't come forward is because they're in fear right now. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to show you what I feel is tree topology. You know, that's the system they use. And I'm going to show you an article on packet sniffing. Just a little simulation of how, or what a possibility may have been of how they were able to do some of this hacking. Okay, and this is just in my opinion, because I am not an IT. I just took a web mastery course, but you know, let me share my screen, and let's get to the hearing. I hope these people will let me share my screen. And first, we're gonna go to the hearing in Arizona. So let me get this mic. I'm gonna try to put it close, and hopefully it'll come out. If not, then it'll be in the description. But if it's not loud enough for you, and shout out to the right side. I'm just using um, two little small snippets, and that's it. So I'm not gonna play the full video. So okay, let's start.
1,100 votes that were injected. That was in excess of what the machines could have processed. The real reason that we believe that this spike was a little bit of an anomaly, and should I show the email that was sent to the Arizona legislature?
You have the floor, sir. Yes.
So this was an anonymous email that was sent to all members of the Arizona legislature, and it was also sent to DOJ. This individual sent the email, wanted to remain anonymous, but had enough concern that he sent this to the criminal division of the U.S. Department of Justice. He did not want to be included in the investigation, but the information that they recorded was what we would like the opportunity to investigate on your behalf, or a forensics team of your choosing. It doesn't matter to us, but says that please be advised that Pima County Recorder, located at 240 North Stone Avenue, Tucson, Arizona, in Pima County, Arizona, and the Democratic Party added fraud votes in the initial count to the vote by mail totals released at 8 p.m. on November 3rd, 2020. So this coincides with what we observed in the data analytics at that spike. We weren't aware of this until this email, until after the fact. So there were approximately 35,000 fraud votes added to each Democratic candidate's vote totals. Candidates impacted include county, state, and federal election candidates. Through the utilization of the automated ballot count machines in Pima County elections, which were not Dominion, but they had the same pretty much functionality. My understanding is that 35,000 was embedded into each Democrat vote totals. Below are the meeting notes. In a meeting I was invited to by the Democrat Party in Pima County, Arizona, on September 10th, 2020, no phones or recording devices were allowed. A presentation was given, including detailed plans to embed 35,000 in a spread configured distribution to each Democrat candidate's vote totals. When I asked how in the world that will 35,000 votes be kept hidden from being discovered, it was stated that spread distribution will be embedded across the total registered voter range and will not exceed the registered vote count. And the 35,000 was determined allowable for Pima County based on our county registered vote count. It was also stated that total voter turnout versus total registered voters determine how many votes we can embed. This embedding will auto adjust based on voter turnout. Because the embed votes are distributed sporadically, all embedded votes will not be found. If audited, because the embeds are in groups of approximately 1,000, this is so county recorder can declare an oversight issue or error, as groups of 1,000 is a normal and acceptable error. So if you believe that your one vote counts for one vote, this is
Okay, so there they showed you in that email they showed you how it went down. So you can rewind that a couple of times to make sense of this, so you can understand how they did it. Okay, so they told you if anything came up, it would just come up as a little error, and they could just brush that off as a little small thing. Oh, this happens all the time. This is nothing. You wouldn't be able to tell what they did because the software was programmed for you not to be able to detect it. Only the creators of the software would be able to detect it, or an analyst, a data analyst. So I'm going to go to the other part because this gets into my little assimilation, what I wanted to show. And I believe that's right about here. He should be pulling it up. No, not there. Okay, right here. Yep, he's looking for it. And go.
let me see if I can make this bigger. So this is Dominion voting, the high level. It's a block diagram of how everything's connected, and I can print this off and provide it to you, or whoever would do your audits. But it's kind of hard to see when it's blown up. But you've got ballot boxes, ballots taken out, and this tracks all the way through the image cast central to ballot images. And this is really what's voted. The ballots are scanned into these image casters, and there's an electronic image created. It goes into results files, and then it goes into validation, adjudication, auditing, reporting, and publishing. And then to Democracy Suite EMS, the Democracy Suite servers, the database servers, the document management servers, and it kind of shows you how this all goes out to the world from this whole system. Election data, this is kind of the top feed to all these servers, but this is really, it's a network. I mean, it's a computer company. It's all networked. It has to be.
Okay, so I didn't want to get into the question part. You can watch this yourself. But this is like treetop. I know it's hard to see. This is like treetop topology. Okay, and you have the treetop is basically built of two, and that's the star system and the bus system. And I remember this from my web mastery course. When you go into a large corporation where they have tons and tons of computers and like several like office spaces, or like where they have a lot of cubicles and there's a whole bunch of computers there, they're all hooked up to the same server. Now there's either one or two servers, but they're all connected to that one server. So that's what you're seeing here. This is a diagram of everything hooked up, the ballot boxes, how they go into the scanner, how they take that picture. They capture an image inside of their system. So they're not worried about the paper ballot so much as they are that image. That's what they're counting, that image inside. And so they were flipping those images, changing those images. They were doing something. So how would they be able to do that? Well, one of the people who testified, I'm not going to go to that, said she saw these. Now, we all should know what these are, but some people may not. These are, when you hear people say a USB or a flash drive, a removable USB, or a flash drive. That's what these are. And what you do with these is you stick them, you connect them to your computer, your laptop, and you can extract information onto this drive. So I believe there was malware or whatever type of program that they were putting on, to flip votes or to get information. They were installing that on these flash drives and instructing the poll workers to stick these flash drives into one of the servers or devices there, right? Because once you do that, once you stick something in with malware, it'll destroy your device. If you have a device and it's having problems, or you think it was hacked, and you take a flash drive and say you have some music and you want to install it on a new device, well, if you do that, when you download that music and put it on that flash drive, that malware, you run the risk of having that malware follow your music onto that flash drive, and you upload it to your new device, and now you have effectively installed that malware onto your new device. Okay, so I believe they said there were people said they saw these there. There was no need for anybody to have a flash drive there. They didn't need to put any information in, or what would they be extracting? Our personal voter information, the people of Arizona's information. So why would they need this, right? So they use this to put the malware into the server. That's how I got to say. And this is just my assimilation, right? So you have packets. He talked about packets or information traveling. So I wanted to show you this because a lot of people really don't understand what these analysts are talking about as far as inside of your systems. And a lot of people don't understand how your system functions inside. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. This is just for educational purposes, just to inform the public. I'm not going to show the whole video, but let me show you who did the video. I can't, okay, but you see who it is. So you can come back to the brothers and watch it, but let's just get a little bit of it in. As a matter of fact, let me stop share because they like to play with me for some reason. Share. And okay, now.
Time in history, people and machinery are working together, realizing a dream. A uniting force that knows no geographical boundaries without regard to race, creed, or color. A new era where want to know how it works? Click here to begin your journey into the net. Now, exactly what happened when you clicked on that link? You started a flow of information. This information travels down into your own personal mailroom, where Mr. IP packages it, labels it, and sends it on its way. Each packet is limited in its size. The mailroom must decide how to divide the information and how to package it. Now, the package needs a label containing important information, such as sender's address, receiver's address, and the type of packet it is. Because this particular packet is going out onto the internet, it also gets an address for the proxy server, which has a special function, as we'll see later. The packet is now launched onto your local area network, or LAN. This network is used to connect all the local computers, routers, printers, etc. for information exchange within the physical walls of the building. The LAN is a pretty uncontrolled place, and unfortunately, accidents can happen. The highway of the LAN is packed with all types of information. These are IP packets, Novell packets, Apple Talk packets. They're going against traffic, as usual. The local router reads the address and, if necessary, lifts the packet onto another network. The router, a symbol of control in a seemingly disorganized world.
Sorry about that. This one here, this one here. This one's here, this one goes here. I don't like this one. Let's go with this one. This one goes here. Left, let's put this one here. Another channel here. Let's put that one here. Let's put that one here.
There he is, systematic, uncaring, methodical, conservative, and sometimes not quite up to speed.
Sorry.
But at least he is exact, for the most part. As the packets leave the router, they make their way into the corporate intranet and head for the router switch. A bit more efficient than the router switch plays fast and loose with IP packets, deftly routing them along their way. A digital pinball wizard, if you will.
Here we go. Here comes another one. And it's another one. Watch this, Mom. Here goes whoop, around the back. Hey, in there, in there, in there. Over the left, over the right, over the left, over the right. You got it. Here it comes. Right on. He shoots. He scores. It's going. Hey, wait. You watch out. Here comes another one. Oh, here we go.
As packets arrive at their destination, they're picked up by the network interface, ready to be sent to the next level. In this case, the proxy. The proxy is used by many companies as sort of a middleman in order to lessen the load on their internet connection, and for security reasons as well. As you can see, the packets are all of various sizes, depending upon their content.
Okay, so you're getting the gist of it, right? This is a really good, interesting video. I don't want to go over it, so it's like I'm playing the whole video. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the rules or how long you can play videos. I think it's 3 minutes, and I've already went over that. But this gives you an idea of how the package travel, right? How the information travels. So I wanted you to see that. So next, this is how they watch you. So we saw the package. We saw the packets. How the information travels, how you put in an email, you want to send it off to someone, and that's the process that it goes through, right? We also have these things called packet sniffing. Okay. And I'm not going to read any of this. Actually, I'm going to put it in the description box, but I'm going to give you a brief description. And packet sniffing is a way that people can watch what's going on the network. Now, this is not illegal, right? And it's not even a bad thing until people use it to steal information, okay? And to watch information, like banking information, or hospital records, or estate records, or your stock market, whatever you're doing, they're watching that, and they're stealing that information, using packet sniffing. Okay, and like I said, packet sniffing allows you to be watched, everything you do, everywhere you go. So for me, I think that they use the packet sniffing as a way to see when to strike with those new ballots. I believe the packet sniffing is built into their software, and it knows when to activate, or if somebody was activating it and saying, okay, let's see how many votes came in. Okay, 100,000 came in from Trump. Now hit the button, boom, flip those over to Biden. That's how they knew. Like, you heard the colonel say that they were like shifting the algorithms around to different precincts until they got the votes that they needed. Well, how would they know how to get the votes they needed unless they were watching? So the packet sniffing allows them to watch. So I don't know how they would track down these packet sniffing, these packets. I hate packet sniffing, but that's what they call it. I don't know how they would track them down, but I believe we'll probably hear more about packet sniffing if they're truly going to investigate this. The Arizona legislature, I was pretty sure after watching that hearing that we have 4 people that are going to fight there. Definitely. I'm not so sure about the whole group, but I was very confident in the 4. There's no way you can look at all of that evidence that was presented, and say nothing went wrong. We had ballots deleted that were illegal. You had dead ballots, dead people voting. I got up to about 10,000 so far. I'm sure there's more, but I see there's about 10,000 that have been reported on, dead voters, people who are dead. You also had people double voting, people voting in more than one state. Those votes will be eliminated. You also had homeless people, and they've done this before. Janet Reno, you can Google Janet Reno, and she, I think it was for Al Gore, or I think it was Gore or something. Let me not mistake the name, but it was an election, Janet Reno, and she went and got a whole bunch of homeless people, gave them cigarettes, and I think like a couple of dollars or something, and bust them all down to the polls. And they've done this before. They did this in this election. So if you look around, you'll find where they took homeless people down to the polls, and that's wrong, because they want to take advantage and exploit the homeless during election season, but during the rest of the season, they don't mind that they're out there on the streets. There are countless homeless people all over the place, and this is how you regard them. Oh, it's time for election. Let's go get them now so we could use them and then throw them back out on the streets without any type of medical assistance, without any type of housing. Just let's use these people. And that's a disgrace. That is a complete disgrace. Using dead people is a complete disgrace. Switching votes, messing with algorithms, using Dominion voting system when we know that they have had a history of fixing elections. They started out as Sequoia, Smartmatic. These are some names that are out there, and then eventually morphing over into what we see today as Dominion voting systems. Now, the Dominion voting systems, you have people that work for that company that have deleted their profiles. I haven't gotten to the story yet. Sidney Powell, a phenomenal attorney, is investigating the case, and I think there was a statement from her that they can't find the server. So if that's in fact true, that they cannot find this server, then that's it. President Trump wins by default. He won the election anyway, but if they're not able to secure that server so that it can be, investigated forensically, then no, President Trump won by default. So we have a preponderance amount of evidence in every state. If this was a criminal court, reasonable doubt proven. They definitely reasonable doubt. They definitely proved that. There's no way you can say this was a free and fair election, and anybody saying that is a complete jerk and a traitor to the country. This was not a fair election. Some people may say, oh, well, what I said about black people and black voters, had the black community voted for the Black Platinum Plan, it would have been harder for them to do what they did. But because so many black people voted, for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, this is what they were able to cheat through you. So you helped. You didn't save the country. I hear them say, "Oh, we saved," because you didn't save the country. You put us at risk. But anyway, at the end of the day, that's what happened. That's my simulation. And the last thing I kind of want to do is just share a reading with you, right? So just to review, we went to the conference. I took you over here. You heard about the email. I showed you this little, what appears to be to me is a tree topology here, where you have many systems set up together through 1 or 2 servers. The internet, you can easily, hack onto here using those USB drives that I showed you. You can hack the internet and get into, these servers with no problem. And then you could use the packet sniffing to watch what's going on in the network in order to help you, or to help the hackers actually know when to do what. Okay, so we went over that. We went over the USBs, packet sniffing. And the last thing, let me stop sharing my screen. The last thing I want to do is a little reading, and then I'm going to end this, okay? So here we go. Here's the reading. This book, I actually bought the book. I did a video about this book. If you haven't watched it, you can go back and watch it. Who's Counting is the name of the book. How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk, written by John Fudd and Hans von Spavowski. Okay, and I'm just going to read this to you. A personal friend of von Spavowski, an experienced Hispanic lawyer, had applied for a career position in the voting section in 1999 after having worked at one of the most prominent law firms in Washington. The voting section would have been lucky to get him. Unbeknownst to him, one of the senior partners at his law firm, whom he barely knew and for whom he did not work at all, happened to be a prominent conservative litigator who had served as a political appointee in the Justice Department during the Reagan administration, and who had successfully beaten the Civil Rights Division in the Supreme Court on a number of occasions. Following 2 initial rounds of interviews with section attorneys, the applicant met with Section Chief Joe Rich, who confronted him almost immediately in a nasty tone about his work for the conservative litigator. According to the lawyer, Rich said, "It's obvious you are conservative too. Why would I hire a right-winger to work in the voting section? This must be some sort of joke. You must be coming in as a mole to undermine me." Then, in a mocking and accusatory manner, Rich demanded to know whether the lawyer had worked for or was a member of any so-called traditional civil rights organizations. Stunned at the unprofessionalism of the interview, the lawyer pointed out that he had worked for various civil rights organizations in college, and that he, as a Hispanic himself, he considered civil rights to be extremely important. Rich angrily told the lawyer he did not believe him, because no attorney who worked for the conservative litigator at the lawyer's firm could be committed to civil rights. I think you are nothing but a conservative. If that's not the nastiest, most disgusting thing you could say to somebody who's worked hard, proven themselves, come in as a person wanting to help in the voting section, the voter fraud section, because there's always been voting crimes going on, right? So he wants to come in, work for the people, and this is how he's treated. So the Democrats do this to discourage any conservative bodies from coming over there so they can continue on the nonsense that they're doing. And if they're not in it alone, then now's the damn time for them to come forth and bring the people out who's involved with you. But that was extremely nasty. I'm telling you, this book, I bought this book for $10. And it's actually stamped discard. They were actually going to throw this book away. I'm so happy I got it. There's still copies of it. Who's counting? Who's counting how fraudsters and bureaucrats put your vote at risk? Please get this book. Please get this book. It is a page turner. A page turner. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and do this video. I saw the trial. I was extremely excited about the trial. You know, I saw fraud myself, you know, but there's no way I would be able to prove it. But I saw, as I was going around through the, over the election days, I saw that one site posted that they sent out 1.3 million mail-in ballots and they received back 4 million. And what they did was they said, well, these were combined with people who came in and filled out ballots. But I don't believe 2 million people came in and filled out those ballots. If anything, if 2 million people showed up, they showed they showed up at the polls to vote physically. You know, at the polls, I seen one person come in to do a drop-off ballot. One person. Everybody else that was at the polls was there to have their vote scanned electronically, scanned and electronically counted. Okay, so let me get off here because I'm starting to stumble a little bit, but yeah, I'm Ray, guys. I like to bring awareness through conversation in hopes that it sparks change. Trump is still my president, and I can't wait till this is over. It is going to be so fun to watch Kamala and Joe get kicked out of the White House. So I'm out. Please like, share, subscribe, and goodbye.